gun control front and center at last night's Democratic presidential debate, it's clear there's no issue more pressing for many Americans. And tonight, we're taking a close look at two controversial cases that could have major implications. The first, starting with an illegal gun sale that led to life-changing consequences for two police officers. They were cops shot in the line of duty.
When did you realize that you didn't have a left eye?
I felt a lump in my cheek, and I had asked someone if that was my eye.
The mental damage perhaps even more severe.
Felt like I didn't deserve to live anymore, and actually considered committing suicide.
And for a brief moment, their crusade for justice is the unlikely center of the gun control movement raging across the country.
Ryan Norberg, Graham Kunish, Plaintiffs versus Badger Guns, Inc.
The question on the table, could a gun store be liable for illegally selling a gun later used to commit a crime? You're watching that illegal gun sale caught on security camera. The man at this counter, Jacob Collins, is actually buying the gun for this young man, Julius Burton, who at the time was 18 and too young to buy a handgun.
They're basically what are called straw purchases, meaning where one person is buying it for somebody else.
It's a common way guns make their way into the underground market. A month later, Burton gets into an altercation with two Milwaukee police officers, caught here on tape. And he uses the gun to shoot them both in the head. For years, laws have hindered the victims of gun crimes from suing gun dealers.
What made this case different, there was a lot of evidence that the guy at the gun shop should have known this wasn't a legitimate purchase.
Miraculously, they both survived. Brian Norberg and Graham Kunish sued the gun dealer Badger Guns and Ammo for negligence, claiming the store clerk should have recognized the telltale signs of a straw purchase.
Badger Guns did not do the job that it was required to do when it made that sale. If Badger Guns had done its job on May 2nd, then Brian and Graham would not have been shot on June 9th.
The lawsuit claimed Badger Guns approved the sale despite a number of irregularities, including Collins checking the no box when answering if he was the buyer, then crossing it out and checking yes. The clerk admitted there was some confusion.
He did have trouble with the written word and the forms.
But lawyers for the gun store argued there was no intent to do wrong.
To believe this, you have to believe that my clients cooked up a plan to unlawfully sell firearms.
And the store clerk denied that that was his intention.
The last thing we want to do is put a gun in somebody's hands that's going to commit a crime, that's going to use it for the wrong purpose.
The gun that Jacob Collins purchased for you at Badger Guns was the gun that you used to shoot officers Norberg and Kunish. Is that right?
As I remember it.
But after deliberating for 9 hours, the jury found the gun store had been negligent.
Was such negligence of Badger Guns a cause of the injuries? The jury answered this question, yes.
Brett Heaton Juarez was the jury foreman.
The strongest piece of evidence for me was the testimony from the owners and sales clerk that they didn't have policies and procedures. By law, they were required to follow these steps, and they didn't.
And experts say this case was unusually strong for the plaintiff, in part because this was not the first time Badger had sold a weapon used in the commission of a crime. Milwaukee authorities say that between 2006 and 2009, more than 1,800 firearms from Badger Guns were used in crimes.
You got a store with a bad track record, you got victims who are police officers, and you have a phony sale. All three of those things come together. If that can't win, nothing will win.
Milwaukee's mayor was quick to say other dealers need to take notice.
They have a responsibility to make sure that individuals who cannot legally possess guns do not get their hands on guns.
But it remains to be seen whether this case will actually set new precedent.
Those who are looking for fundamental change, where victims of gun violence are going to win lawsuits against gun shops and manufacturers, shouldn't count on this case. They would still need a fundamental change in the law, which I don't think is happening anytime soon.
The verdict announced yesterday, touted as a major victory by advocates for gun reform, is far from a final victory. Badger lawyers are expected to appeal. And the battle over gun safety continues to be front and center in the national conversation.
I'm a big Second Amendment person, believe me, the biggest.
From campaign stops around the country.
If you go someplace where people can shoot you, you're probably going to get shot.
To last night's Democratic debate in Las Vegas.
We have to look at the fact that we lose 90 people a day from gun violence.
But here, gun violence took a backseat to this issue of liability.
Sandy and Lonnie Phillips are here from Colorado.
Martin O'Malley introducing a couple who took on that fight head on and lost.
They were slapped with $200,000 in court fees because of the way that the NRA gets its way in our Congress, and we take a back seat.
From the moment we got the news, our lives turned upside down, and they've never righted. They've never come back to a norm.
Sandy and Lonnie Phillips lost their 24-year-old daughter Jessica when James Holmes unleashed a hail of bullets in a darkened movie theater in Aurora, Colorado back in 2012.
They left a 5-inch hole in my daughter's face. A 5-inch hole. That was one of 6 wounds to my daughter. That's what these bullets do to human flesh.
Last year, the Phillips sued the companies that supplied Holmes with this deadly ammunition and protective body armor.
It should bother everyone in our country that somebody, anybody, can go online and buy 4,000 rounds of steel-jacketed ammo without any ID, without any background check.
But a judge in Denver not only dismissed their case, but made them responsible for covering the online gun dealers' legal fees.
The judge thought that it was more of a political lawsuit than it was a public health and safety lawsuit, and we're left with that burden.
The Phillips' financial future is uncertain, but their mission couldn't be clearer. Emboldened to fight on by the verdict in Milwaukee, in the fact that at the address where Badger Guns and Ammo once stood, now sits another gun store, Brew City Shooter Supply, still open for business, still selling guns.